How to be mindful at all times. Let me rephrase that. How to be street smart in life. Or, here is the trending one, how to be a bad boy. This isn't some feel-good philosophy. It's a hardcore blend of philosophy and psychology. If you're up for it, welcome to this 5-chapter guide. Chapter 5 is the most important one. Feel free to jump around. We're not here to follow the usual self-improvement advices flowing on YouTube, so viewer discretion is advisable. With that said, let's start this video, and you know what to do if you find it useful. Chapter 1. Embrace the ordinary. With no specific moment of enlightenment to kick off the journey to the path of mindfulness, people often start from the most abrupt premises. Every morning when you open your eyes, pay attention to the feel of the first breath, the first drink of water, the feel of your sheets on your skin. It is not about idealizing the ordinary, but about understanding that life is made up of moments, and moments mean details. In a way, you are consciously sculpting yourself to pay attention to such moments, and by doing this, you are developing a healthy habit. Sukhin, most to what the Stoics called amor fati, or the love of one's fate. It's about making sure that the totality of experience is always aware of the triviality of details as well. Instead of starting to pining for the extraordinary, start with appreciating the ordinary. Remember that these are the minute pieces that aggregate the huge puzzle that is your existence. Dr. Ellen Langer, in 1989, in her study on the psychology of possibility, has revealed a lot of importance on the little things in people's surrounding increases. The chances of achieving the state of flow, a state where the individual is completely absorbed in an activity of choice. Flow is not resultant from the task being special, but from the approach you grant it. Therefore, the next time you are washing the dish or going for the bus, realize that mindfulness is not about moving to a beautiful place and cancel all the noise, but it is about being aware of where you are at the present moment, no matter how chaotic and mundane the situation is. After all, some people said that there is beauty in the ordinary if only you will look at it carefully. In simple words, curiosity and openness. Even fate won't come to you if you're not approachable. Chapter 2. Adaptability, flexibility, and discomfort. Most people avoid discomfort like it's the plague, but embracing it can sharpen your awareness and help you grow. The Stoics believed in voluntary discomfort, deliberately putting themselves in challenging situations to build resilience and character. They argued that by confronting small difficulties, you prepare yourself for life's inevitable bigger ones. This might look weird. Try something different. Walk in the rain without an umbrella, skip a meal, or take a cold shower. These aren't acts of self-punishment, but opportunities to test your boundaries and develop a deeper understanding of your reactions. They help you see discomfort not as a threat, but as an invitation to learn about yourself. Psychologically, when you expose yourself to manageable discomfort, you activate a concept known as eustress, a positive form of stress that can boost your motivation, focus, and resilience. A 2013 study by psychologist Alia Crum showed that people who viewed stress as a challenge rather than a hindrance performed better under pressure and reported higher well-being. This practice rewires your brain, helping you remain calm and clear-headed in more intense situations. You become less reactive and more observant, able to see discomfort not as something to flee from, but as a tool for awareness. Remember, growth rarely happens in comfort zones. Lean into discomfort. It might just be where your true self-awareness begins. Chapter 3. Cultivate deep listening. Most people listen, not in order to comprehend what is being said. As the saying goes, people listen for their turn to speak. The practice of mindfulness is a step further, even though it starts with the act of listening to other people as well as yourself. Do not be too much prepared when talking to someone. Instead, you should pay close attention to the words the other person is saying. This doesn't sound like being polite. It sounds like a practice of being present. Another famous Stoic saying is, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." By doing so, You generate an environment where people feel heard. You stop railroading people and situations through your own preconceived notions, and you understand that every interaction is a chance of glimpsing someone else's life. Active listening, or deep listening, is therefore not only listening to other people, but also listening to yourself. Focus on issues such as the concept of thought about oneself and the emotions one has, especially in stressful circumstances. Do your societal responses reflect a true understanding, or are they mere replicas of what you have learned? This is in accordance with the psychological theory of metacognition, thinking about your thoughts. Research findings have also indicated that consumers who use metacognition in their daily lives come up with better decisions and handle stress better. Listening deeply involves waiting and accepting, and these are virtues that one has to learn. Most importantly, it ceases trying to persuade a client on a specific point of view, the manner in which it tries to bring forward a point. This kind of listening, or listening without labeling and without being distracted from the present moment, forms the ability to be present in your own life. The entire world may be viewed as a cryptogram. That can be decoded, if only one is determined to pay real attention to it. Chapter 4. Engage in active reflection. More than just looking back at the day. Reflection involves coming up with questions or issues to do with the day's incidents, ideas, or actions, and then analyzing them. Daily Stoic reading. Just before going to bed, the Stoic reflected on one's strengths, weaknesses, and areas of improvement for the day. It sets into practice a method of learning that makes you be aware of your self-growth and development all the time. In addition to just using the internet to give you hopeless, belly-up chuckles, try to linger in the moment. Ask yourself questions. I need to know why I reacted that way. What emotion did I have in me at that time? So what can be learned from this? The process of inquiry is not about criticizing oneself, but getting to understand oneself better. As soon as one begins to practice active reflection, one becomes more conscious about one's own process, or the patterns of behavior, the buttons that one may have, the resources that one may possess, or the things which one is completely unaware of. Scholars posit that reflective practices make people develop high levels of emotional intelligence. In a study conducted in the year 2015, Dr. Richard Boyatzis established that those people who take time and reflect on the self are those people who make better decisions, since they are well aware of their feelings and how such feelings impact them. Reflection is a skill. It involves bravery with regard self in order to come with uncomfortable realities. It is through this kind of process that you are even more cautious, even more purposeful. Instead of having discrete, memorable experiences that you switch from one to the other, there is a smooth continuity of your own narrative in which everything seems to be meaningful. Thus, life is the principal, and you, the learner who is determined to learn with life being the school. Chapter 5. Master the double-edged sword. In a world that constantly pushes you to go faster, slowing down can be a radical act. We rush through tasks, conversations, and even our thoughts, driven by the illusion that speed equals efficiency. But when you move too fast, you miss the nuances, the little details that give life its depth. Slowing down is not about doing less. It's about doing things with more care, more presence. Oh, the title is Double-Edged Sword. Mindfulness doesn't always mean moving slowly. While slowing down helps you notice the finer details of life, there are moments when speed is crucial. Developing a sharp, quick-thinking mind is just as important as learning to take things at a measured pace. The key is to know when to apply each approach, like a skilled chess player who takes time to consider each move, but knows when to strike quickly. Overthinking is devastatingly harmful. Quick thinking is essential in many situations, from solving complex problems like math equations to making rapid decisions in a high-pressure environment like a shooting video game. Training your brain for speed, as well as accuracy, is about developing cognitive strength, strategic thinking, and a readiness to adapt. Doing math, games like chess, for example, help you learn to anticipate your opponent's moves, while a fast-paced video game can enhance your reaction times and your ability to make split-second decisions. Yes, I am not asking to cut off games from your life, but grow with it. A 2017 study in the journal Nature found that individuals who practiced quick decision-making tasks, like playing action video games, demonstrated improved cognitive flexibility, faster response times, and better strategic planning skills. The Stoics also valued this kind of sharpness. Seneca often spoke of mental agility, the ability to quickly understand a situation and respond appropriately. In life, there's a dance between these two modes: the slow, reflective mind that deliberates with depth and the quick, agile mind that responds with speed and precision. Both are necessary. Train yourself in both. Learn to slow down when you need to understand deeply, and practice quick thinking when the situation demands it. In this video, we will share some strategies to stay mindful. Life will give you many opportunities, and most of them require you to act quickly. Grab the situation. It is the second and last part of the Quick Wit series, as it was getting too long. Chapter 1. Street Smarts. The philosophy of the street isn't just about the ability to survive, but to actually prosper in an environment of chaos. First, it involves actively listening to your surroundings, changing from the naval officer that feels the winds and brimming seawater surging in his vessel's hull. This is not paranoia, but educated living and appreciation, not only of the where you are and the what, but the flow. Analyze people's walk. Observe the rhythm of the environment around you. The world is full of secrets, and anything has a hint as to something that is hidden if only one possessed the adequate knowledge. But there is more to it than that with street smarts. That is about gaining the understanding of some sort of subtext of people's behavior, perceiving goals in such things as gestures, and identifying chances as well as threats at a first sight. It's not about being skeptical, although such perception may indeed be closer to the truth, but rather being wise and knowing that every opportunity has its risks and rewards. Think like a Stoic. Indeed, it is similarly true today, as it was in the Seneca words. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Acknowledge them, but do not let them control you. They should be used to indicate what requires more attention or efforts. Research from the behavioral psychology perspective provide evidence that viewers frequently fail to register features in their surroundings because of a number of factors such as attention overload or prejudice. The phenomenon of inattentional blindness. McRock, 1998. The mindful pedestrian minimizes what is heard and observed in the environment and allows for what is relevant and necessary from what is irrelevant and unnecessary. This ability to see in the storms and avoid them not only makes one safe to himself, but makes him powerful in a way that others are not. He knows where the shortcuts are, and he knows where the gravy is. To be streetwise is to be able to watch the game and understand its rules so that one can be able to twist them and also play with a lot of practice, even when the stakes are high. Chapter 2. Emotional Awareness. Emotional agility isn't muting your emotions. It is about dancing with them as opposed to being waltzed by them. In a nutshell, it is all about confirming one's feelings, but then being able to ration how one handles those emotions, even if they are extreme. They are not able to snap, shut it, or run away. Instead, one is taught how to get through the storm. In a work on emotional agility, psychologist Susan David, 2016, has found customers who maneuver through their emotions in a healthy way, meaning they do not avoid them and get too attached to them either, are the most likely to survive pressure. At its root, it's about finding time between stimulus and action. This place, as the Stoics well understood, is where the freedom is to be found. When things turn against you, chase them away by a frank and unself-pity. Epictetus. See it, feel it, name it, claim it, and do not let it overrule your decision-making. Emotional mindfulness entails the process of being an observer of one's emotions, in much the same way as a storm raging in the distance is observed. For instance, you don't need to perceive danger where you feel anxious. Instead, this anxiety is a sign that something in the environment requires attention. Creating such a state of emotional flexibility, you have to master a new kind of language, the language of the self. The more you get better, the harder it is to be taken by the tide of the emotion. You are in control of your own vessel, and you maneuver it according to the course you have set. Chapter 3. Just push the pause button. This is the biggest mistake that people make about patience. They assume that patience means doing nothing, which is far from the truth. It is more of the ability to be patient, even when every fiber of your body is telling you to perform. This is not the kind of pause that comes from aversion, from being afraid of something. It is a strategic gap between the signal and the behavior, the space to reflect on what is happening, and then to make a decision as to how one should respond. Psychologist Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response is our freedom." In the world of the 21st century, with its obsession with its fast pace, where everything has to be done right now, patience is regarded as a sign of weakness. But it is actually fine to be inactive during silence, to not run in the heat of the moment, to be restrained. Research indicates that this kind of decision-making stems from fight or flight mechanism caused by the activation of amygdala. The act of patience regulates the activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is part of the brain that deals with the sophisticated planning and decision-making, as well as moderates impulses and emotions. Stoicism is the theory which assigns patience as a virtue. Wise Emperor Marcus Aurelius said, "The more a man is capable of doing and achieving, the closer he gets to what is called strength." Every pause is an exercise on learning how to acquire strength in one's mind. Eventually, this habit of pausing changes how your brain thinks about things and not to act, hence making you be a more strong, poised, and efficient gamer of life. Just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying this video, please consider like and subscribe, and thanks a lot if you did already. Moving on. Chapter 4. Seeing yourself with clarity. The first element of dervish practice is mindfulness, and the essence of mindfulness is self-awareness. In mindfulness, as much attention is paid to the inside world as to the outside. It means being aware of the signs, the cues, as well as the ways you normally react. The ancient Stoics did this to the letter. For them, life was an exercise in virtue, which means a daily exercise. Of all that was said by the ancients, the following quote by the great philosopher Socrates seems to have been well taken and can be interpreted more as a challenge than a rebuke. The unexamined life is not worth living. It has already been postulated by modern psychology that self-awareness has its advantages. For example, Tasha Eurich, in her research conducted in 2018, showed that self-awareness has positive correlation with job satisfaction, interpersonal relationships, and effective decisions. Recognizing a particular way of thinking allows you to note if you are in autopilot. This is when one is doing something not because one has made a rational decision to do so, but because one is acting in a way that has been conditioned by prior experience. This way, you begin to develop the awareness of people's constant patterns at their thoughts, feelings, and reactions. You come to understand that there are things such as cognitive distortions, for example, polarized thinking or magnification that may rob you of sound rationality. That's pretty much like having a clean glass through which you view the world. The Stoics practice daily reflection to achieve this, identifying its success and failures, as well as areas of consideration. Self-awareness is not self-judgment. It's about how you look at yourself, with no prejudice of egoism or self-negativity. The more you shine your lens on the world, the more you know, and the knowing is the key to making conscious decisions in preference to meandering along an automatic pilot, pushed and pulled this way and that. Chapter 5. Sense of humor. A sense of humor might seem trivial, but it's a profound tool for mindfulness. Humor is the art of seeing the absurdity in life's challenges, of finding light in dark places. It's not about dismissing the gravity of serious situations, but about keeping perspective. When we laugh, we create distance between ourselves and our problems, allowing us to observe them without getting entangled. The Stoics knew this very well, and therefore, they commonly used the issue of ridiculous behavior in order to cultivate strength. Epictetus humorously noted on the fact that man is not troubled by real issues as much as he is troubled by his imaginations about real issues. To this effect, humor acts as a strong antidote to worry. It is a form of regaining the control over oneself, and also as a constant reminder that no matter how tough things may seem, there is always a momentary pause. In the psychological sense, humor has proved to lessen stress and enhance outlook, that is, cognitive flexibility, so that people are able to view matters from various angles. It helps the brain regulate stress, preventing the production of cortisol and elevating your mood. It's just a own life lesson to have, not to be too serious, even though sometimes it could be tough. Laughter is beneficial, since it assists in keeping things as per plan, particularly when matters get out of hand. It even makes a barrier. It gives you a mental room to catch your breath. It is a message which is simple as emphasizing our common ground, common sorrows, joys and misfortunes, and holy laughter that one may need to grasp in moments of complete despair and confusion. Using humor in daily life helps to develop a coping mechanism that does not break into pieces under pressure and stress, bends slightly, and goes on with a smile on the face.